Hello, friends. How you doing? I have a topic I want to talk about that I think you'll be interested in. It's the topic that's hard to talk about because a lot of times we think of it as somebody looking over our shoulder, or it reminds us the way that our parents would never leave us alone, or maybe a friend that really cares about us, or a teacher, or something like that. In this mobile series, the ones I do for my car, I should give them a name, right? I want to talk about accountability and how hard that is to do when you have a new routine in your life. And most of the time I talk about therapies and supplements and cancer and new stuff in your life, diagnosis and being scared and all that kind of stuff. But today I want to talk about when you get your own therapy and your own routine down. Right? You know what you're going to do. Then how do you stick to that? Because we're human and things are hard to stick to. It's just human, right? A lot of times we will find ourselves tempted to do things that's just going to take us off track, and we feel defeated, and you go through all this emotional thing. And I'm not here to tell you that you just gotta be better, or that you're a failure, or what I'm gonna try to do is give you some tips to keep you on track, okay? Because I know it's difficult. Now, the first thing I mentioned was the word accountability, and how this may remind you of people in your life that were tough on you because they wanted you to do better. I'm going to be a little tough on you, going to give you some homework and make some suggestions. If you find yourself, even with the homework and the suggestions, failing, then what I want you to do is take it up the next notch, which would be involving another person. And that really sounds tough because a lot of times we want to keep our lives kind of private and don't want to involve other people, especially if they know our inner secrets, like when we're supposed to do this, why did we cheat on our diet, why did we do this or that, and have somebody come to you and say, did you do this, and why did you do this? And maybe they are not the perfect accountability partner, and so there's that fear there that they're not going to work out for you. But let me tell you this, they will help you much better than if you have nobody. If you have nobody at all, then what's going to happen is you're going to keep slipping, because maybe you have a weakness in this area. I mean, we all do, but it's different levels, right? Some people are more disciplined, and some people, it's hard for them to even do a fast, of 24 hours or whatever. And maybe not because, they don't think their body can do it, but just because they just don't have the discipline to do something like that, just to say, this is exactly what I want to do. So here's the deal with my therapy and the disease that I'm going through. I know for me it's hard, especially when I expose myself to temptation of maybe different foods, and then you start making excuses in your head that, well, it's only one carb, and it's only half a gram of sugar, and it's only because carbs and sugar for me are the two cardinal sins, the two things that I want to stay away from in my diet. And And the things that are like good and sinful and whatever are the things that have carbs and sugars in them, right? So you see them and you see people eat them and say, I had no reaction to it. My glucose level stayed low. I've seen other people eat this and they went through the same experience. They haven't had anything, and so you think, well, if they did it, why can't I do it, But you have to remember, especially when we're speaking of cancer, that everybody's body's different. Everybody's digestion is a little different. Everybody's cancer is different, right? So I think the way I process this is that, listen, if it's a few carbs and if it's a little teeny bit of sugar, why chance it? Why take that chance, You can stay away from that kind of thing. Now, I'm telling myself this, right? But I still have the temptation going on. So here's how I handle that for me. And this is an initial thing that might work out for you. The way I handle that is I journal. I write down. I'm super transparent. I'm honest with myself in my journal. I'll tell secrets in my journal that I would tell nobody else ever. And the reason why is because pretty sure nobody's going to be reading my journal, right? Except for maybe later when I'm gone, and I don't care, right? Or if I tell them to, read the past few entries, tell me what you think. That has happened on occasion when I'm having maybe relationship problems or some other kind of problems. We all have issues, right? So I journaled, and if I put down in the journal that I was tempted by something, I thought, well, man, I sure wanted to buy some peanut butter. It would be great. I miss peanut butter. I miss Reese's. I miss, some of that stuff. I miss Crunchy. But then I think what I'm going through, and I'm brand new, in this whole thing. So it's very important initially, I think, especially, to do as clean of a diet as I can without any of those things in it. So I want to write down that I had that, how I had that. It's very important, because then you'll develop like these patterns where you say, okay, every time I go to the grocery store, I find myself going down that aisle that has all the fat bombs that have carbs in them, actually, that I would love to eat, chocolate and peanut butter, but I shouldn't have them because they do have sugar ingredients in them, as far as what do you call them, artificial sweeteners. And then they also have carbs in them. Some of these ingredients that they put in there have carbs. So there's two things to look at there, right, that I don't want. But the thing that's happening is I'm going down that aisle. I'm exposing myself to that. And so what I have to do is come up with something else. I have to come up with something that will fill that void that I'm looking for and that I will enjoy. Maybe not as much as one of those peanut butter cups, but something that's good. So the first thing I believe is exposure. Now, marketers know this very well because they put like ads, billboards, advertisements on TV, advertisements on the internet. Everywhere we turn around, there's like an ad for some kind of thing. And you know how it goes too. If you look at one, a lot of times what happens is they will take and implant what's called a cookie in your browser, and then that'll track you along all the websites. Most of the websites do this. Sometimes you can opt out on cookies on websites, if you don't agree, and then the tracking will be turned off. But what's crazy about this is that they know you need to be exposed more than one time, so they're always pitching that thing up in front of your face for you to eventually break down and buy their product, right? I mean, they'll come up with all kinds of advertising excuses too, like, it's only this and it's less than that, won't raise glucose levels, for me, for the product I'm talking about. And then the other thing is putting it down on paper and writing what happened, and then coming up with a strategy. Like I said, you gotta come up with something to fill that void of what's going on in your life to take place of that. If not, that thing's gonna persist. You're gonna have that habit forming there, and you don't want that. The other thing about being accountable is not only in your diet, but the things you do day to day, which is your routine. I haven't gotten too much into this. I'm writing a book on it because it's so vital to have a routine. And if you don't have the discipline to follow through on a routine, your health is going to suffer. I think I see this mainly in people's sleep patterns. They say that they're going to go to sleep at a certain time, but they don't do it. They come up with all kinds of excuses. So-and-so called me right when it was time to go to sleep, or my mom, and I wanted to talk, and she's only available at this time, and, it's just a bunch of things. I mean, every day it's a different excuse. And so those things would also go down in the journal for me, and I would find a pattern there. What's going on? Why does this always happen? Now, either I can adjust my sleep times, which I've done before, or I can stop, being undisciplined and taking the call and, ruining my sleep pattern, the sleep that I really need that's for health, right? The other thing I think that's very important is exercise. And what, what I do is a therapy. Exercising, if you start, I think the best thing they say is to not skip 2 days in a row, because then you'll probably quit. So if you find yourself in the position where you have to be down at the courthouse at 7 in the morning or something like that, and you can't get your morning exercise in, and you're not gonna do it in the afternoon or whatever's happening, then that's okay. But tomorrow you better do it, right? Because if you skip 2 days in a row, chances are you're gonna dump the whole program, and that's an issue. So that would also go in the journal. I'm gonna write it down. Here's what happened, and I got to get better at this. And then these things are like you're making yourself accountable to your journal, right? The other thing I would talk about, at least in my regimen, my therapy, my routine, is meditation. Meditation's the same way. Matter of fact, a lot of things I notice are the same way. If you skip 2 days in a row, chances are you're going to go a week without coming back to it. It'll be very hard to come back to. Meditation, I think, is very important mindset to calm the mind, especially when you're in this kind of a situation with your health. And the other thing is, we talked about nutrition, exercise, mindset. So, there's like just some key things. Now, if you find out that doesn't work, you're having trouble even though you're writing it down, or you don't journal, or you don't journal for 2 days, bless your heart, you'll find yourself quitting your journal too. So then you'll quit all accountability, and then you'll come to me and go, Dave, how can I do this? I can't get myself to keep going. And then I'll say, are you going through the steps that I mentioned? You're journaling, making yourself accountable to that piece of paper that you write like every day. And then I'll suggest this to you, and I think it's very important, is that you find somebody, could be a really good friend of yours that knows you closer than a brother almost, like that kind of thing. And just somebody that you really trust, and just ask them, hey, can you be my accountability partner? I really want to stand accountable for these things in my life because it's very important to me. I don't want to cheat. I want want to do the therapy that I have set before me, and I want to become healed. I want to become healthy again. What can I do? And this person will help you. Yeah, most of the time people are more than willing to help you out if you just ask. So that's the next one. That one, it's kind of tough because then you have to be open to tell other people your secrets, right? But you got to go there if you're having the problem. So, okay. All right, I'm here at my destination. Hope those tips help on accountability. Don't forget to get your journal, get it ready, and then don't forget to write in it, and don't skip 2 days in a row. Those are the key things. Thanks for subscribing, for leaving your comments. I appreciate them all, and I love you guys, and thanks for all the support.